welcome to part 2 of Northwest Newsweek Year in Review. I'm Mitchell Ringos. In early May, Lac La Croix First Nation finally received compensation for lands owed to them under Treaty 3. The $130 million land claim settlement was formally signed at a ceremony in the community near Fort Frances. Lee Noonan was there.
The settlement will see Lac La Croix receive $131.3 million from Ottawa and the province in compensation for lands that were promised to the First Nation when they signed on to Treaty 3 in 1873.
It's a historic day. This is a very symbolic day. It's a really important day. It's a transformation, and I've been saying this for a long time, since I started sitting at the negotiating table for our First Nation.
Chief Carrie Adetis Norwegian says she's the 7th chief to lead the First Nation since the negotiations began more than 20 years ago. She credits many leaders, elders, negotiators, and clan trustees with bringing this settlement to fruition.
To conclude the historic claim is transformational to the lives of our community, individually, collectively. It changes our economy. It changes all aspects of our community.
The bulk of the settlement funds, $118.2 million, is coming from the federal government, with the province contributing $13.1 million.
When they calculated the amount owing, it was based on the amount of land they didn't get, plus the loss of money because their band hasn't been able to utilize that land for logging or farming for the last 150 years.
Our government believes in reconciliation in action, and for far too long many of these claims have seen delays, experienced delays. And
for the First Nations, roughly 500 members, just over 300 of whom live on reserve, Chief Adetis Norwegian says the settlement is all about taking care of the youth, setting up future generations for success, and taking steps towards reconciliation with Canada and Ontario.
It is not only just the positive financial implications of the conclusion of our treaty land entitlement, it's also rectifying historical wrongs against our community, right?
The First Nation has already laid out a plan for how they want to invest the settlement funds. Two top priorities include the construction of a youth center and some much-needed housing in the community. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
Also in May, Nipissing Council officially accepted the resignation of Pierre Peltier, making him the second member to leave the township council in a 4-month span. Peltier was one of 4 councillors elected in October of 2022, and his resignation was accepted in a unanimous vote at the May 2nd council meeting. Council then voted to appoint a replacement rather than hold a by-election. Councillor Glenn Hart was appointed at the beginning of March after John Zechner resigned from council in January. When asked about the resignations and the need to fill those council seats, Mayor Suzanne Kuko emphasized the importance of having enough councillors to maintain a quorum.
Yeah, so unfortunately we did have a resignation from Councillor Peltier, which we accepted with regrets tonight. For personal reasons, that's the reason that that was given to us. And of course, we would prefer to have those who were voted in to be on council, and that would be the preference probably of the community as well. But sometimes things happen, and we just keep moving forward. You know, we have quorum. We currently have quorum. We were never left without quorum, so that's good.
Peltier and Zechner both declined to comment to TBT News on their reasons for resigning, but they did confirm there is a common thread to their departures without elaborating. Meanwhile, former Nipissing Mayor Richard Harvey, who ran for a councillor seat and finished in 6th place, said he had no intention of applying for the vacant seat left by Peltier. A large culvert collapsed along a busy street in Atikokan on May 9th. Fortunately, no one was hurt. The incident left a gaping hole in the roadway which crosses the Atikokan River, and it also took out a section of water line, leaving the town under a boil water advisory. Lee Noonan reports.
No injuries have been reported in the dramatic collapse along Mercury Avenue where it crosses over the Atikokan River. Mayor Rob Ferguson says it could have been much worse.
It was rather sudden, but people did see it coming apparently and stopped traffic. And then within a few minutes, it let go and went.
Ferguson credits the quick actions of local emergency response with keeping everyone safe. He says there's steady traffic on the collapsed road, but that thankfully police were called and the road closed before it caved in.
Everybody's safe. There's no injuries. There is no threat to life or anything in Atikokan. So that's the main thing. We always worry about the safety of our residents.
The town's water system was temporarily disrupted and a boil water advisory put into effect as the incident severed a 12-inch water line. Ferguson praises local public works for their response.
The reaction was really quick. They isolated that line and got water rising in the clear wells, and we were able to put the water back on in the town within an hour. We're under a boil water advisory because we did lose our levels in our clear well, and we're expecting that to be a few days before we can get the tests for all clear.
Ferguson says the culvert was already showing signs of fatigue and was scheduled for replacement this summer, but that it's too early to speculate on what caused the sudden collapse. The original time estimate for the project was 1 month, and the mayor expects that timeline will now be extended, forcing drivers to take alternate routes for the time being. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
Also in May, a jury delivered its verdict for a Manitouwadge man charged with second-degree murder in the stabbing death of his younger brother. The trial was held at the Thunder Bay Courthouse over a 2-week span. 40-year-old Jesse Allen was arrested in January of 2021. The victim, 18-year-old Wayne Allen, was stabbed twice in the chest at the family home in Manitouwadge. Lawyers for both sides said there was no disputing that Jesse Allen stabbed his brother. However, Allen's lawyer was asking the jury to consider the lesser charge of manslaughter, arguing that his client did not intend to kill his brother. But the jury returned with a guilty verdict on the original charge of second-degree murder. That comes with an automatic life sentence. The judge later ruled that Allen would not be eligible for parole for 15 years. Kenora fire officials confirmed in late May that a house fire claimed the lives of 2 people in that community. The devastating blaze was one of 4 house fires in the Kenora area over an 8-day span, but the fire chief said there was no connection between the incidents. Once again, here's Lee Noonan with the story.
The Kenora Fire Department received multiple calls to a house fire on Kenora's 18th Avenue just after 2 a.m. Friday.
And there was flames coming through one of the front windows and smoke and flames coming from the roof when we got there. The occupants were unknown of their whereabouts at the time. The neighbors didn't know whether they were home or not. There was 2 vehicles in the driveway, so the crews tried to make entry. Unfortunately, the fire was too far involved. They couldn't enter.
2 persons were discovered deceased in the single-family dwelling. They're believed to be Jim and Carla Rainier. A GoFundMe campaign has been set up to assist their family with funeral expenses. The Office of the Fire Marshal is investigating the incident and have not yet released their conclusions.
We know there was working smoke alarms, but we're not sure why the homeowners were unable to get out of the structure.
Nevertheless, Pratt urges all area residents to ensure they have working smoke alarms in their homes, saying they made a crucial difference in a house fire that consumed an Agger Street home overnight on Sunday.
Working smoke alarm saves lives. The incident this morning, the couple was awakened by the smoke alarm activation, and they were able to get out of the house safely and call 911.
Pratt says the 2 fires, as well as one that destroyed a house on River Drive on May 21st and another just outside Kenora on the 24th, are all unrelated.
I can assure everyone the origin and cause of them have been investigated, and they're all different. So one was unattended cooking, one was, we believe, a wood stove, one possibly was improperly discarded smoking materials, and I believe the one today is related to an electrical fault.
Pratt praises local fire crews for their perseverance through an incredibly challenging week and asks area residents to be very mindful of fire safety under the current hot, dry conditions. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
Time now for a short break. We'll have an update on the new massive Greenstone gold mine when we return. Welcome back. Construction expenditures for the Greenstone gold mine reached $1 billion in June, and major changes could be seen in and around the town of Geraldton. The final push was on to complete construction of the massive project. Lee Noonan was at the mine to witness the dramatic progress firsthand.
Open pit activities are already underway, with regular blasting being conducted. Construction is moving along on a massive containment dome, and at the process plant, 2 ball mills are being installed while electrical and piping work continues. General Manager Eric Lamontagne says the work to build the gold mine just outside Geraldton is 70% complete.
We are in target to start commissioning in the fourth quarter this year, and to start full production beginning commissioning and beginning next year.
They plan on getting the last 30% built this year, and construction is going full bore, with roughly 1,000 contractors now working in the area.
We're definitely seeing the roads a lot busier. We're seeing the restaurants a lot busier. We're seeing things like the hotels being booked up.
Greenstone CAO Mark Wright says that although there are some growing pains, the progress is nice to see.
With the development of the mine site as well as the realignment of the highway, pretty much every day someone drives through, they'll notice something different. So it's quite exciting to see the changes.
Highway 11 currently passes right through the site, but work is well underway to reroute a roughly 3-kilometer stretch of highway away from the mine. Lamontagne says the new road should be ready to go before the end of the summer.
We target to put in place the asphalt in July and have the turnover of the highway in August.
Community Relations Manager Dina Quenville says they've been very happy with the level of engagement from area residents.
People are very excited by the progress of the project. Many of them have, found employment with us and or are working with some of our contractors as well. So there's a huge excitement level on that front.
In addition to jobs, Lamontagne and Quenville also fielded questions about air quality and wildlife protection at a community info session. At the annual barbecue and site tour, the conversation centered more on the workings of the mine itself, as well as simply awe at the sheer size of the project and the dramatic changes taking place.
Next year, at the same time, we'll have this barbecue, and we'll have perhaps a gold bar in our hands.
The next big construction milestone is the completion of the 58-megawatt power plant, which is expected to go into performance testing in August. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
2 teenage boys were charged with arson by Anishinaabe-Aski police in connection with a fire that damaged the water treatment plant in Edmonton First Nation. The blaze broke out on July 5th in the remote community. The fire consumed an abandoned vehicle and several storage containers and then spread to the water treatment plant. The NAPS crime unit launched an investigation, and 2 boys, aged 13 and 14, were arrested and charged with arson. The damage caused by the fire affected the plant's ability to produce and distribute clean water, prompting Edmonton leaders to declare a state of emergency. Around 300 people were evacuated to Thunder Bay for nearly a month, and another 300 went to Niagara Falls, while officials addressed and repaired the water plant. Details emerged in May regarding an alleged altercation 2 months earlier between a town councillor and the then mayor of Ignace. The incident had citizens confused and prompted a Ministry of Labor investigation. Lee Noonan reports.
An independent investigation ordered by the Ministry of Labor, the results of which were recently presented to Ignace Council, paints an unflattering picture of former Mayor Bill Gascon at a meeting back on March 10th.
He yelled, he swore, he used profanity, he abruptly left the meeting, an outburst of anger, violently pushing the table away and kicking the chair into the wall before storming out of the room. Those actions breached the code of conduct. And importantly, those are not the actions of a municipal leader that can be condoned.
Gascon categorically denies the findings of the report and refused to participate in the process, citing a lack of trust in the investigators. The investigation also looked into Gascon's accusation that Councillor John Taddeo grabbed him by the arm in the same meeting, but the report clears Taddeo, calling his testimony and that of the town clerk credible. It recommends a reprimand for the former mayor and training for all councillors.
And we are here today undoubtedly because members did not understand their roles and the standards of behavior.
The firm Principles Integrity was hired to conduct the investigation. It also serves as integrity commissioner for the township.
We've tried to assist council in governance matters, but regretfully, much of our time has been in dealing with complaints. We have a matrix of complaints which we're attempting to deal with in a rational way, a way that achieves course correction and sets the municipality up for being better able to meet its governance goals down the road.
The firm has no timeline for the results of those other investigations. Interim Mayor Kim Bagrey declined to comment on this matter for now. Council is expected to review the report and vote on the recommendations on July 17th at its next regular meeting. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
Northwest Region OPP were investigating a murder that occurred in Marathon in early July. Constable Matt Foster said it was a heartbreaking incident for the victim's family and everyone in the Marathon area.
Something like this in the community, as small as Marathon, can be nerve-wracking for something as serious like this to happen. So we just want to reassure that the OPP is doing everything they can to further investigate and to prevent something like this from happening in the future.
OPP discovered 39-year-old Charity Bittern Moses of Marathon with life-threatening injuries early the morning of July 15th. She was pronounced dead after being transported to hospital. OPP charged 20-year-old Dallas Malley, also of Marathon, with second-degree murder. Foster said Marathon residents should not be alarmed by the continued police presence in the area, as the OPP's Criminal Investigation Branch and Forensic Identification Services remained in town for the ongoing homicide investigation.
CIB members, the forensic members, they're going to be in Marathon conducting investigations. So you may see more police presence in the area. What that means is that they're conducting follow-up, they're conducting more extensive investigations with regards to this tragedy.
Foster extended condolences on behalf of the OPP to the family of the victim and asked that anyone with information reached out to police or Crime Stoppers. In August, 2 people were facing murder charges related to the death of a Sioux Lookout woman as a result of the OPP's investigation. 36-year-old Alan Zerksa and 21-year-old Aaron Gray, both from Sioux Lookout, were charged with first-degree murder. The victim was identified as 40-year-old Adriana Bottle. First responders were called to the incident at an undisclosed location, and Bottle was pronounced dead at the scene. Police did not provide any further details about the circumstances of her death, as a post-mortem was to be conducted in Toronto. The 2 suspects appeared in court in Sioux Lookout and remain in custody. Time now for another short break, and when we come back, Alvin Fiddler returns as Grand Chief of Anishinaabe Aski Nation. Welcome back to Northwest Newsweek Year in Review. In mid-August, Alvin Fiddler became Grand Chief once again of Anishinaabe-Aski Nation. The swearing-in ceremony took place during Day 2 of the 41st Annual Kiiwewin Conference in Thunder Bay. Fiddler said his #1 priority was restoring Nan's reputation and relationships. Jessica Clement reports.
Alvin Fiddler has returned to the role of Grand Chief after being away for 2 years. It was made official on Wednesday during a swearing-in ceremony that took place during the 41st Annual Kiiwewin Conference.
People of Anishinaabe-Aski Nation and councillors, I present to you your Grand Chief, Alvin Fiddler.
Fiddler, from Muskrat Dam First Nation, is replacing former Grand Chief Derek Fox, who was removed from the post in May over alleged code of conduct violations. Fiddler has 25 years of leadership experience within NAN and was first elected Grand Chief in 2015. He stepped down in 2021 to run for National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations, but lost the election. Fiddler says while he feels rested and ready to take on the role again, it wasn't an easy decision.
My kids, they encouraged me to consider stepping up again, and so we had some dinner conversations, and they're actually the ones that really encouraged me to take this on.
Fiddler says there are a number of important issues he hopes to address as Grand Chief, including resource development and land claims. However, his first priority will be restoring Nan's reputation.
We can't ignore that and pretend that didn't happen. We have to, as I was advised to do by the elders, to acknowledge what's happened and to take appropriate steps to do the restoration and the healing and the mending that we need to do to restore relationships within NAN and also relationships with external partners.
According to Fiddler, the strained relationships within NAN are largely related to the lack of communication and presence of leaders in communities, which he says he plans to change by meeting with chiefs and members. He says he also plans on reaching out to Derek Fox.
To ensure that everyone remains in that circle, that's how we keep it strong, is if everyone is a part of that, and that includes Derek and his family, and we will make it our effort to reach out to him.
The term for Grand Chief will be for just 1 year until another election is held. Fiddler says he hasn't decided yet whether he will seek a full 3-year term in 2024. Jessica Clement, TBT News.
The billion-dollar Waasigan transmission line project took another major step forward in August. Hydro One filed an application to the Ontario Energy Board for a leave to construct the new power line between Thunder Bay and Dryden. The project is a partnership with a consortium of 9 First Nations. Hydro One is aiming to see construction completed in as little as 4 years. The first phase of the transmission line could be completed as soon as the end of 2025. That segment runs from the transformer station in Shunya all the way to the Mackenzie station in Atikokan. The second phase between the stations in Atikokan and Dryden could be in service by winter of 2027. The project will add 240 kilovolts to the existing power line, offering plenty of opportunity for new mines in the region.
There are many different mining connections that are in the application queue up in the region. As a general rule, and where possible on most construction projects, it makes a lot of sense to be able to draw upon a labour force as close and local to the actual project as could be.
The total price tag of the Waasigan line will be $1.2 billion, which should mean plenty of hiring opportunities once boots and shovels hit the ground. And that will do it for Part 2 of Northwest Newsweek Year in Review. Join us next time for Part 3, covering the months of September to December and featuring more of the top stories from around the region.